What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. We living in crazy times where people actually want to see another man fail in his relationship, where people can't separate how they feel about a basketball player or what they think about somebody's political opinion off the court, and that spills over into real life. Y'all some weirdos, bro. Not everybody, but it's a group of guys, and I don't think that it's a whole lot of y'all. Or maybe it is, I don't know, because based off of the way that y'all voted in this last presidential election, I heard that 78% of black men actually voted for Kamala Harris. That's some weird shit. And then y'all calling me crazy? Man, let me tell you something, bro. I dropped a video yesterday that was basically reviewing Akademiks' accusation of LeBron James and him saying that, you know, all of this Drake stuff in Canada and all of this stuff and him possibly cheating on his wife and him basically dry snitching, saying that he had been making phone calls and different women and all of this other type of stuff and what they know and everything. First of all, I don't believe any of that. So let me preface this by saying that I think that it's all speculation and I think that it's all for the internet. You know what I'm saying? It's different when you start to file lawsuits and all of that stuff, and then you can substantiate your argument and then you can start getting real evidence and things like that. But when you just talking as a vlogger on the internet, I think that that's wild. But more importantly, that's not even what the issue is. The real issue is there is no code anymore. And that's why you guys continue to get defeated. Do you know why black people will never get reparations? And I know this is a completely separate argument, but I'm gonna bring it full circle and I'm gonna help you to understand why it's so easy to keep you distracted and divided. The reason why it's so difficult and why black people will never, ever get reparations, which I don't give a fuck about because I already understand what the game is. And more importantly, I'm not going to wait for anybody to give me anything. But the reason why black people will never get reparations is because even if you have a difference of opinion from somebody else, if you align in one thing, you set aside your differences in order to push forward but something that's not necessarily best for you, but could be best for your children. The reason why people in years past were able to get things done is because they were able to separate issues and say, wait a minute, this thing in particular, you may be my enemy, but you my neighbor, and this thing that's happening over here is gonna affect all of us. And so just because I don't necessarily care for you right here, it don't mean that I'm not gonna necessarily rock with you over here. Even in sports, right? Let's say you got two rival teams. And this guy absolutely hate this guy because they are on opposing teams. That guy is not going to stop that guy from getting paid on his contract because he understands that what affects him ultimately is going to affect my bag. But there is no separation amongst people, amongst men, especially amongst simps and people that want to see somebody fall today because everybody just want to see the world burn, but then they think that they can benefit individually, and you can't. As the culture goes, you're going to have the anomalies. You're going to have the people that can separate themselves. You're going to have the people that understand how the game work and they're able to pull themselves up. But as the culture goes, and if you embrace the culture, you go. So when we bring it back to reparations, for example, right? I could not necessarily care for it, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to stop you from getting your bag. We can have a conversation about it, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to go to court to block you from filing whatever you want to file or supporting whatever legislator is going to be in your best interest. As a matter of fact, I encourage people to research and vote and all of this other type of stuff and become informed voters and become even more involved in the legislative process or what's going on in their cities and their communities and all of that. But the problem is that nobody can think separately from how it is that they feel about one issue in order to allow for themselves to continue to push for the collective when something will benefit everybody. Now, that's just a small example to illustrate a bigger point. The bigger point is that there are certain rules that you don't violate as a man, because what affects one guy affects everybody else. The reason why nobody gave a fuck about what men thought when it came to changing family court laws, and they laughed at y'all during the last election when they said, well, what do men want? What do black men want in particular? And a lot of guys actually answered the question, and they answered it effectively. And I've seen a lot of social media posts where guys was like, hey, listen, the biggest thing that we want is changes to family court laws and child support. The biggest thing that we want is an update to family court laws when it comes to divorce to make it more friendly for both parties to get married, to create a family, to do things the right way. I shouldn't be held against my own will with this particular thing. And then you know what I seen? I seen a lot of guys say, fuck that, you need to get with women and all of this, and they start simping. And even though it doesn't benefit me in particular, because I am not a person that is affected in any way, shape, or form, and has never been, not even my family, not even historically, from family court laws, I understood the plight of men. And it's a lot of people that will say stuff like, well, Anton, why do you go so hard for guys when it comes to the equalness and the fairness and holding people accountable and all of this other stuff? Because I understand that it doesn't necessarily have to benefit me in order for it to be the right thing to do. And what I seen in these comments yesterday was egregious. So many guys, so many men want to see the fall of LeBron James's marriage. Don't necessarily want to care about his political views. I don't fuck with him when it comes to his political views. Don't necessarily care about the argument of who's better on or off the court when it comes to Jordan versus LeBron. His stance on social issues or specific things, whatever, I could disagree on, but there's also some things that I could agree on. But more importantly, there's rules to the game, and you never want to see the fall of a guy just because you don't like him on certain things, because we don't break up families. It's just the law. Even if a woman, even if these hoes don't understand it, it don't mean that you got to sit there and justify it. Let them fucking talk. Let them feel some type of way about it. I don't care about what a woman think on man issues. That's between men. That's what we do. This is a discussion that we supposed to have. You're not supposed to be operating in your femininity. In no way, shape, or form are you supposed to be operating in your femininity like that. But this is the plight of guys, is because a lot of us, not me, but a lot of us were raised in single parent households, and you got the ways of your bitchy mama. Nope. Listen to the context. I'm not calling your mama a bitch. I'm saying that the way she goes about doing things and operating in a way that she taught you was to be a bitchy man. You think, you operate, and you move emotionally like a woman that is complaining about the issues of a man. I've never seen so many guys want to see the downfall of another man because they emotionally scarred by what it is that he feel. I don't give a fuck who you are, bro. 3 things. I'm never wanting to see you fail when it comes to your family. I'm never wanting you to see you want to see you not provide for your family. And I'm never going to just by default wish jail on somebody without real evidence because it's innocent until proven guilty. Other than that, I could not like you. I could not like your content. I could not fuck with you. I could go back and forth and say, hey, he a piece of shit as far as his takes and he's simp and all of this stuff. But it's for me personally, I was raised to say and to think that it was rules to the game. And the fact that a lot of these people just out here operating wildly without any kind of thoughts to how that's going to affect somebody or what the overall picture and the overarching picture and what it does to push men back as a whole is amazing to me. But we become so individualistic that we don't even possess the ability to think outside of ourselves, and we think like our emotional mothers. We think like our emotional mothers. The amount of men in the comments, and the overall majority of them is, they get it, they got it. So we're not talking about them. But I'm telling you that simps are an epidemic in themselves. The biggest problem that we have amongst men, not even just black men, white men, none of that. The biggest problem that you have amongst men are simps. Simps are a scourge on this earth. They are a scourge on this earth. Hear me out. For all of these guys that's so feminine and living in their femininity, it's horrible. It's absolutely trash. But you're going to find out. You're going to find out. When it's your turn, you're going to find out. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I think that LeBron is going to be fine. I think Brian is going to be cool. But the sentiment of these guys, and let me just help you out. Let me say one more thing before we get up out of here. You're never going to be able to hate your way to the top. You're never going to be able to hate your way to the top. You can hate, you could want to see the downfall of another man, but that's never going to make you no money. Remember that shit. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.